It's not just inflation that's challenging President Biden before the midterms. There's another potential headwind. New polling suggests that black voters may be souring on Democrats.
Hello, my name is Kyle and welcome to the channel. And in this video, I'm going to react to that CNN clip. It's about 2.5 minutes long and it's very, very interesting. So stick around for that. But right now, I'm going to talk about that and premise that particular clip with a couple articles from Breitbart as they reported several polls that came out about the end of an era and how the GOP erodes black support away from Democrats. Over 100 black Republicans are now running for office. And, you know, if you've been around here on this channel for a while, you know that I've been talking about this for a long time. And going back to the Trump administration, even a little bit before that, I dare say going back to Jack Kemp is when things really started to start a little bit. But black people are slowly becoming more and more aware of what's going on and they're waking up. The walk away movement was a big deal on that. And so there's been a lot of things along the way. But the CNN clip that I'm going to react to tells just about everything and way better than I can. But before we do that, again, let's get into this article here. It says here that black Americans have started to support Republicans in droves as their approval of Democrats has diminished over the years, paving the way for over 100 black conservatives throughout the country to run for office in 2022. In the current 2022 midterm elections, over 100 black Republicans are running in primary elections at all levels. With over 70 of those candidates running for Congress, Republicans striving to win back the House in 2020 left the Democrats with the slimmest majority in modern history and gave themselves the upper hand in the midterms. Now, the thing about this is, and this can be unpacked in a long form video, which I don't have time for now. I will in the future, but it's a long way coming from black Republicans or black conservatives or black people in general getting away from the Democrat Party. And a lot of this has to do with the fact that the Democrats in general have left the middle positions on everything. They've gone to the wacko left. That's the main thing. But I think the voices that are coming out now against liberalism and how it affects negatively the black community has been something that has been seen firsthand from a whole new generation of people. And so, see, when I was coming up, it's really easy for people to just call you an Uncle Tom because you had different opinion than the mainstream Democrat. And see, back then, there were things which were dealing with policy issues, okay? Things such as so-called income inequality, things such as affirmative action, things such as just being a sellout in general for a party that has ignored the black community, that being the Republican Party, which I would really admit the Republican Party just gave up on that vote going back to the late 60s and on because the Democrats had such a foothold there, they felt why even mess with it. And so they, by alienation, pushed the black community away and then left the Democrats to do what they wanted to do, and that's pretty much exploit the community and use them for their votes and not give anything back in return. I think Barack Obama played a big role in that because people saw that even though you have a black president, still nothing gets done, and even worse. And then I think when Trump got in office, they saw firsthand a man who the left was calling racist left and right, but turned around to do more for blacks than any president in the foreseeable history of what people had known in their lifetimes. And they were like, that took people back. And then in 2020, Trump got the highest percentage of minorities in, 60 years. He doubled his support with black females, the most loyal demographic group in the Democrat Party, black females. He doubled that. And so we're seeing that trend, and the CNN clip will get into that. And so let's just go on here a little bit more here. And they actually had the clip here in this particular article, which I'll go over in a second here. It says, over the past several months, multiple polls have shown Democrats losing long-time support among black Americans who have typically been their most loyal voting bloc over the years. In January, an Associated poll showed that black support for Democrat congressional candidates fell from 56% last November to only 35% in March, along with Joe Biden's approval, with black Americans plummeting 30 points since he was installed. A recent poll from Gallup showed that Biden's approval rating among black Americans has also decreased by 20 points from the beginning of his installment to April. At the beginning of his installment, Biden saw an 87% approval rating with black adults, which fell to 74% by the summer of 2021. As of April, his approval with black adults dropped to 67%, a drop of 20 points total. Check out this poll here. This is a poll with Republicans taking a 9-point lead with Hispanics, and support with black voters more than doubles, now 27%. Now, we did a video on Hispanics as well. I will leave a link to that below. That in and of itself is amazing. It says here the Republicans have taken a 9-point lead nationally among Hispanic voters and more than doubled support in the black community to 27%, a Wall Street Journal survey says. It says here, among black voters, Republicans have more than doubled their support since the November survey. Back then, GOP had 12-point support in the black community, a number that is consistent with national election results in recent years. But now, in this survey, Republicans have a whopping 27% of black voter support. So now let's check out this particular clip here from CNN, and let's go over what they had to say, and I will comment as we do.
Just inflation that's challenging President Biden before the midterms. There's another potential headwind. New polling suggests that black voters may be souring on Democrats. CNN's senior data reporter, Harry Enton, is here. Harry, great to see you.
Nice to see you.
So you have found that Biden...
Here we have 87% to 67%.
Approval with black Americans is down. How far are we talking here?
I mean, it's really down. I mean, you can see it here at the beginning of his term.
Oh, it's really down. Oh, it's really down. Yeah, he seems pretty shocked.
He was at 87%. Look at where he is over the last few months. 67%. That's a 20-point drop. And not only is it a 20-point drop, that 67%, Barack Obama, the last Democratic president, never dropped below 75% in any Gallup poll. So this is lower than Barack Obama ever was.
Do you know?
Now, it's interesting when I watch this clip, there is no good news at all in this clip. There is no sugarcoating it. There's no silver lining. This is just sheer bleak misery for Democrats in this clip here from CNN, which is what I love to see.
What's driving this? What's behind it?
Well, there are a number of things that are behind it, but one of the things that I think is so important as we look towards the midterm elections, right? If you look at younger voters, you don't really see that there was much of a change with them in terms of their generic ballot or how they would vote for Congress, even though they had soured on Biden. But look here, the choice for the House of Representatives among black voters. In the 2020 election, Democrats won them by 77 points. Look at the recent average of polling. They're only winning them, get this, by
77-62. What is that? 15 in less than 2 years? Pretty impressive, Joe.
62 points. Now, I want to put this in a historical comparison for you. And this really gets at how low that 62-point margin is. Choice for House of Representatives. Democrats have won black voters by 75 points or more in every single election this century. Mm-hmm. So if you go back.
Let me just stop there. 75% for Democrat support, for blacks that is, in this century. And the fact is the black community hasn't been worse than it is now. You see what's going on with the literacy rates, with the incarceration rates, with the black violentness rates, the crime, obviously. And you're seeing it getting worse and worse and worse, the education and everything. And their support for Democrats as at 75% going back the past century, you can see why this is something that cannot be sustained from a practical standpoint and from a logical standpoint and from a common sense standpoint.
Here, and you see them right now with just a 62-point margin, that is much worse for wear than any performance for Democrats in the House of Representatives this century.
That's really interesting. So in other words, this has been a sudden decline, meaning like in the past year plus.
Well, if I think one way to sort of look at this, right, is the choice for president, and we go back since 2004, 2008, 2012, 2016, 2020.
So remember I said Jack Kemp? That was basically the 77% up there. That was around the George W. time, right? And that was Jack Kemp. He was a conservative who saw the potential in the black community and tried to make inroads there. And even W, even though I'm not a fan of him anymore, he tried to make inroads as well. And so that's why you saw that 77% there. And then, of course, you had Obama come in. Of course, that's the factor there. But then people figured out under Obama that he wasn't doing what he said he was going to do. And he lost 4 points there. And then under Trump, 81. So you can see that trending down and down and down. It's just the reality of the left becoming more liberal and leftist and ignoring the vote. And also it is the information that's coming out and people seeing for themselves firsthand that no, the Democrat Party doesn't have our best interests at heart.
Right now, if you go back to 2020,
yeah,
Joe Biden won black voters by 75 points. That was down from 2016, 2012, 2008. You really have to go all the way back to 2004. Now, you were asking before, why? What is driving this erosion? And this, I think, will give you the clue. It's black conservative voters. Black conservatives. Look at that. 2016, Dems won them by 58 points. Hillary Clinton. Look at that. Just a 20-point margin for Joe Biden. All others, moderates and liberals, that 87-point margin held. It's black conservatives that are driving this.
Really helpful, Harry. Great to see you.
Nice to see you.
Thanks.
So there you have it. Black conservatives are a large part of this, but I think that's really the thing. But that's kind of a misnomer. I think what's happening is that blacks are finding out that they have been left from the ideas that they identified with the Democrat Party. The party left me, not me leaving the party. So then you're having them becoming so-called black conservatives, but that's just because the Democrat Party is imploding. And I'll do another video on that, on how the whole woke culture is not sustainable, and the Democrats taking and embracing that mentality is just a time bomb that they just cannot recover from. And we'll see in the elections what happens there, because there are other things that Democrats can do to mitigate that, which I can't talk about here. So that being said, what's your thoughts on this whole thing about the polling with blacks and even Hispanics, with blacks almost doubling their support towards the Republican Party and just not embracing Joe Biden at all, or the Democrats and their policies? Let me know in the comments below. I'd be curious to know what you think. And if you like what we're doing on this channel, we take pop culture and politics and give it to you in a conservative manner, then please check out some more videos that we have picked out for you right here.